Good evening. Welcome to day 46 of the 77-day video challenge. I chose the title, the theme for this evening, as Out-of-Body Experience. I had a conversation earlier today with a friend of mine in which I shared my thoughts about a documentary that I watched last night. It's about a young man, it's by a young man, a young filmmaker who recorded his experience coming out of the closet to several of his family members and several of his friends. Everybody he spoke to in this documentary, in which he would set up the camera and then announce his identity to his family and to his friends, went very smoothly. Everybody was very accepting, very understanding. And as I just described this to my friend earlier today, it occurred to me, would the circumstance have been any different had there not been a camera present? Everybody he came out to in this film, he knew that he was a filmmaker, knew that he was a documentarian, so they were only somewhat uncomfortable with the fact that might be a camera there. They did not like, however, being recorded. They knew they were going to be recorded, but I still wondered, would they have responded differently had there not been a so-called audience watching? That in a couple of cases, there were people who paused before they said anything, and then they would say, well, of course I love you. Of course I'll always accept you. Or, I had no idea. There were several different responses, but nobody who reacted negatively. Nobody tried to shame him. Nobody got overly emotional, and certainly nothing controversial in how anybody reacted. However, I have to wonder if there weren't a couple of these people who were not so much taken aback by the news, but the way and really the format in which it was presented to them. They had to address this experience as something of an out-of-body experience, because they knew they were being watched as they saw the circumstances of the relationship with this young man changed. Whether this was their son, their brother, their friend, their understanding of who this person was had been changed, and their reaction to it was being recorded. Nobody looked too particularly self-conscious in how they responded, but I had to wonder if that didn't still play a role in a subtle way. There were a few people who said, I wish that this had not been recorded. Are you sure that it was appropriate to record this? When he came out to his father, his father said, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to run the tape when you talk to your brother and sister. These were people who were aware of sitting in the moment, and also had to step outside themselves to see how they were being viewed. I also am aware that wonder how these people would have reacted had once they watched the finished product of this documentary. Would they have been uncomfortable with watching themselves react to this news? We don't often feel comfortable watching ourselves, observing ourselves from the outside, and most people do not like the sound of their own voices, because the way that your body processes the sound of your own voice is very different from how other people experience your voice. The vibrations of your throat resonate in the chambers of your skull, and your voice may, to your ears, may sound more resonant, may sound lower and breathier and more velvety. But when you see yourself on tape, you will hear your voice the way other people hear it. And a little test that I read about a few months ago is that if you hold your hands up behind your ears, you cup your hands behind your ears, or you put folders behind your ears, and then you speak, you'll hear yourself somewhat in the same manner as other people hear you, because you'll hear your voice through the air and not through your own bones. We don't want to, we may not want to hear or know what we sound like or what we look like outside our own bodies. But it's important that we take that step outside ourselves to understand how other people see us, to know how other people see us, and to recognize how other people see us, if only for a moment. I thank you for taking the time to spend a few minutes here as I step outside myself to share these thoughts with you on day 46 of the 77-day video challenge. And I look forward to seeing you on day 47 of the 77-day video challenge.